Hey, everybody. My name is Jonathan Peschke, one of the coaches here at Warrior Success Systems. We've got schools here in Sacramento, California, surrounding areas, as well as the Warrior schools all over Florida. And we help school owners, like all of you, improve their business, not just by telling you what we think might work, but sharing with you what we actually do. And therefore, you can do the same thing in your academies. So, with that being said, heck, let's open up the floor. This is a Q&A call. Um, if you have a question, if your camera can turn on, go ahead and turn it on. And if you want, you can post a question in the chat, or heck, we'll unmute yourself and fire away. Who wants to be for Kyle Freeman? Yes, sir.
Sure. Well, first of all, I appreciate you guys putting this on.
Yeah.
Last call that I was on, I actually missed the one. I was away out of town, but the very first call that we did, you had mentioned about the family class, and that was how pretty much how you ran your entire school was all based off family classes. Well, I got to tell you, that has just been racking my brain. I'm sure just like everybody else here, we've experimented with family classes, sprinkle them into the
Yeah.
schedule, had different things, but really never fully committed to a family type culture, family class culture, and put it on the schedule where there is no other options. Uh, one of the things that I was with my staff this morning, we were kind of shooting, different ideas as far as like how could we implement this on our schedule without doing a completely different shift with our business model.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit more about that and see. I guess the number one question is the pros and the cons, the benefits, versus doing individuals. Obviously, I think our number one thought process is that we can't teach adults and kids the same way.
Okay.
So I think that's probably that's in the back of my head. That's where have the biggest hang up, and I need to kind of break through that belief system there. So
Yes.
if you could kind of
Dive
share
in.
your knowledge on it, yeah, man, from the beginning.
Yes, sir. Well, when I first started training many years, 30 something years ago, there was just the class. Now, granted, there was no 4-year-olds in there, but it was just the class. You showed up, you took class. If you were a kid, you're expected to behave. If you're an adult, you really soaked it up. And I guess so, in a sense, we kind of went back in time and went more old school, in terms of it's just the class. So the warm up, we had to kind of tone it down just a little bit. Like we have a good friend and client for many years now, Romeo Gregory. He's in Oxnard, California. Coming out of COVID, he was decimated, ready to throw in the towel. Now, the guy does 60 grand a month without even thinking about it, and he spends more time on vacation than he does in his academy. What did he do different? Well, when we first went to his school, the warm up consisted of running around the room, music blaring, crab walks. What's the other one? What's the bear crawls? Sprinting back and forth, which is all fun for little kids, but you're never going to get the mommy on the mat to do that because she can't. She can't. If she tried, she wouldn't be able to walk the next day. So we thought, well, rather than trying to murder these folks, or worse still, play dodgeball the last 20 minutes every day, which has nothing to do with martial arts, let's be more martial. Let's line people up and take them through a regimented, structured program that has a proper warm-up and conditioning and skill development and curriculum training and cool down and stretching, and so we kind of went more old school. The industry has not served us well. If you think about most of the stuff that we do in modern martial arts, especially with kids programs, it's more entertaining than it is training. Let's be a Disney dojo and let's get down on our hands and knees and go, hey, Timmy, give me a high five. We really don't engage as much with the kids as we do with the parents. Adults are easy to teach. And if you have a structured program, the kids follow along. So we're not running and jumping over bags stacked up 8 feet high. We're not doing all this stuff where here's one of the big mind shift was, if a 40-year-old mommy can't do it, don't. Now think about that. All right. So if the 40-year-old, why is that? Because we realize that the mom is the client, The kid typically is the user, the student, but the mom is typically the client. And so what can I do to make the client a student also? Well, it starts in our phone conversation where we let them know that, hey, for the tour and orientation, everyone participates. So wear something loose enough to move around in. We won't do anything crazy, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. And they go, oh, okay. So now we've prepared them to be on the mat on step one. Then when they come in, we put the child in front of us and the parent behind them, and we're talking more to the parent about the kid versus making it all about the kid. I'm making about my connection with the parent about helping her child. For example, she wants confidence. Oh, look at that, mom. He's getting louder already. I think he might be an inch taller. Do you see that? Oh, yes, sir. Okay, great. So we indoctrinate them into being a student from the very beginning. And then we present the family membership. And if they say, no, 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 it's just for Timmy. Okay, great. Well, in that case, it's just half price. You know, well, and we fall back. But in terms of the class structure, we have a structured curriculum that everyone can do, and it's not until they get to more advanced ranks that we might do something to try to kill them, so to speak. But I understand that the color belt ranking system is kind of like raising children. And what we've done so often in our enthusiasm for getting everyone to be more athletic is we typically, most schools, do too much too soon. If my goal is to get all the parents on the mat, I've got to present to them a class and a program that they can actually engage in. Not the person who's already a martial artist. That's fine. That's a whole different scenario. But if I'm trying to get a new mommy out there, I've got to help her realize, hey, you can do it, and you're not going to feel ridiculous. So in some ways, we had to tone down our presentation of the curriculum. And again, it's not necessarily the curriculum, because they can all kick, block, and jump, or maybe not jump, but they can all kick, block, and punch. But it's typically the warm up that scares them away first. All right. And so with going back to Master Gregory, we went down there and it's like, this is why you've got 30 parents in the lobby and no parents on the mat. They're looking out here going, oh, look at, they're having fun, but I could never do that. Heck, I don't even want to do that. I would die if I tried to do that. So we said, why don't you tone down the warm up a little bit and make it an actual warm up versus a conditioning class? So he made that change, and now his bleachers are empty and everyone's on the mat. So that's the first big thing. Now, if I go back, when we first started doing this many moons ago, I'd started off with, let me just invite the parents to participate as a student in whatever class they bring their kids to. Because when we first started introducing family classes, we weren't sure how this was going to unfold and how well it'd work, because most schools are like, oh, family class is Thursday at 7. And Thursday at 7 is not enough to have a family program. So we started inviting all the parents to train, and they could come to whatever class they bring their child to, because I knew I had to make it convenient. So at the time, we had Little Dragons, Kids Beginner, Kids Intermediate, Kids Advanced. Mom, adults are easy to teach. I can teach a white belt adult in the midst of any class. So if you bring your kid to the 5 o'clock advanced class, that's okay. We're going to have a handful of parents in there that are all going to be white belts, and you'll be able to train too on white belt stuff. No problem. And that's literally how it started. And pretty soon what happened was every class I had, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, there was a group of new beginner parents that I was able to draft out there onto the floor to join in, and they would do the white belt stuff. I could teach 2 things at one time, no big deal. Then as it grew, I thought, well, heck, you know what? Maybe to have a fuller class, why don't we combine some of these classes so we don't have all these fractured groups, and let's have fuller classes. So then we started compressing the class schedule to make fuller classes. And of course, the class grew even more because now the adults had even more adults to train with, and it made it more fun for them. And then eventually we got to the point where we said, okay, actually, this is back in the day, we used Microsoft Publisher. And I opened up my class schedule and I changed it from kids beginner, kids intermediate, kids advanced. I just hit the delete button 4 times and got rid of the word kids. So it was just beginner, intermediate, advanced. That's all it was. And by taking the word kids off of there, it made it okay for the parents to join in. So then we realized, okay, well, to make this even better, an adult grown man or woman doesn't want to stand next to a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid. So let's change the structure. And this, I had to think about this for a minute because I grew up in very traditional stuff and you always line up by rank. And so, okay, well, let's change this and let's make it easier to get more parents involved by lining up by height. And so now we line up by shortest ones in the front, tallest ones in the back. Unless we're doing something special like a black belt seminar or something, we'll still line up by rank. But for the most part, we line up strictly by height. Little ones in front, adults in the back. And it's just like how they started when we taught the intro lesson. Kids are in front. Now I can talk and teach to the adults, and the kids are in between us. So guess what? They just follow along. And kids want to just have fun. Kids want to, they're not, kids aren't as concerned as your hand here or here, but the adults are. They want to get it right. And the kids, they just want to do it. So it works out beautifully. So then what happened next? Next, we realized, okay, the one class we're not getting any parent participation is the one that is least martial. Guess which one that is?
I would assume a fitness class, like a
Well,
boxing or
yeah, no, no, no. Think about the four groups we said we had earlier: dragons, beginner, intermediate, advanced.
I would probably say the dragons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a parent in a dragon class to save your life. So we thought, why do it? Why are we out here running around chasing 3 and 4-year-old kids? We're not really teaching them martial arts. We're preparing them to maybe learn martial arts. And here's the worst part of all: you can never fill the room. Now, some people say, well, I've got tons of little dragons. So it turns out their little dragons are like up through 7 or 8 years old. Well, okay, I give you that. You can have lots of them if you're going that high. But if you're looking at 3 and 4-year-olds, or maybe even 3, 4, and 5, you're never going to have 40 of them in a class. Never. And worse than that, you probably wouldn't want to. Could you imagine? So we thought, rather than chase around all this class structure and time that takes so much energy and time, and most people, there's exceptions, but most people, that's not their most enjoyable class to teach in the first place. Why do it? Now so we decided, okay, we're just going to have five and above. A 5-year-old is usually ready enough to follow along. They may not be super athletic or whatever, but they can be in the room and they're not going to cause a distraction or a danger to themselves and others. So we just made the choice. Okay, well, rather than trying to chase an age group that we can never get enough of to justify the time and energy, let's narrow our focus and focus on what yields the biggest return on our investment of time and energy. Because there's several advantages to families. Here they are. Families pay more. The way we structure our tuition and encourage you to is that the first person is full price, the second person is full price, and the rest of the family can train for free. Now, there is a caveat for us because our space has become at a premium. There's too many students. So after 4, we do charge half tuition again. But a family of 4 can train for $498 a month. How's that sound? I'm like, oh. But first, full price, free. That's how our tuition is structured. Because I want to encourage more parents. Because number one, not only do they pay more, number two, families stay longer. Families will train 4 times longer than your average single membership for a lot of reasons. Number one is it takes more than one vote to quit. And number two, by getting mom to buy into this is my thing now, the kid matters even less in terms of whether or not that membership survives. Because if mom has her 3 best friends at Taekwondo class, and Timmy says, I don't want to go to class, she goes, oh no, we're going. She's doing it for her now, not just for him. Let's see what else. Number 3, families train less often. And sometimes people fight that and they go, oh, that's not good. Yeah, it is. If you go back and really, I don't know how well everyone on here keeps their stats, but the individual or family, anyone that comes to class 4, 5, 6 times a week rarely survives. In fact, last summer I got a call from a guy and he goes, yeah, I want to see how much you guys charge. I said, what are you talking about? Because I could tell the guy had been training. I forget what he said, but basically what it came down to is his martial arts school. He'd been going 6 days a week and paying $200 a month. And now his kid wants to do baseball, so he can't go to Taekwondo 6 days a week. And so now he doesn't feel like he's getting his money's worth. And I said, well, sir, it sounds like you're probably just fine because we charge $250 a month and you can come 1 to 2 times a week. And the way he was talking about where he was at sounded like I don't want that headache. So I did not pursue or encourage it. But my point is, it was further evidence that letting them come unlimited amounts of time or encouraging them to come more than a couple times a week does more to harm than to help. So number three, all right, so what was it? Number one, families pay more. Number two, families stay longer. Number three, families come less often, especially if you think about getting mom, dad, and the kids all in the car to go to the same place at the same time, more than twice a week. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. But here's the good part. They might come less often, but they come more consistently. You know, when a family's training together, it becomes their thing. Every Tuesday and Thursday is Taekwondo night. And they know that's what they're going to do together as a family. We've literally had families tell us this has been the best family activity we've ever done. I've never felt closer to my family, my kids. I mean, it's huge, which again is what encourages the longevity. So what else? Pay more, last longer, come less frequently, but come more consistently, which is better every day, every time. Number five, families refer other families. Instead of, oh, my kid does this, hey, I'm doing this. You should come do it with me. And then the kids come along, of course, with it automatically. And then number six, it is the shortcut, the absolute shortcut to future staff. And that's the best part of all. When you have a mature adult, mom or dad, doesn't matter to me, that becomes an enthusiastic, entrenched member of your academy, you have a pool of people to draw from that is unmatched. I mean, I can give you half of our staff started off as family add-ons. And I mean, that's why our average age staff member is 38. My youngest staff member is 26. She's the baby of the group. A lot of them also have full-time jobs, like Master Patterson. She's been with me now for probably, gosh, 10, 12 years. She's a full-time auditor for the state of California for the Department of Unemployment. If she shows up at your place of business, you might go to jail. However, she puts in about 14 to 16 hours a week at the Taekwondo Academy, and she typically brings in at least $15,000 a month in revenue. Why? Because she's 48 years old. She's a fourth degree black belt. All three of her kids grew up in the academy. Now they've moved out. They've got their own families, moved away. It's easy for her to tell a mom what to do because she's just inviting her to do what she already did for herself and her family. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Versus having a 18-year-old guy, like when I started selling memberships, going, hey, you should do this. It's only $8,000. I'm like, man, who's this young kid? Right? Now, it doesn't mean young kids can't sell because I was selling back then too. But more often than not, you hear instructors talk about, well, I've got great instructors. One's 12, one's 14. And when they grow up, they're going to be amazing. I ain't got time for that. You know, and I know that's not proper English, but it sounds good. So so there's the 6 reasons why families trump everything. They pay twice as much. They come less frequently, so you don't have to have a massive schedule, but they come more consistently. The membership lasts longer. Families refer families. And again, it's the absolute shortcut to future staff. So in fact, we're opening up we're launching our newest location, number 5, today. Today will be the first day. And we've already got, I don't know how many trials are set up and sold for this week to launch. And rest assured, it's all about the family. So, heck, Kyle, you tell me, what have you gotten out of this answer so far? Because I feel like I'm getting kind of long-winded here.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely you're reinforcing a lot of the things that I've already been thinking about. You know, all the 6 things that we're talking about. You know, then of course, trying to segue because as we have right now, probably about I would say about half of our adult class is our parents that are participating in the program.
Yeah.
With that, I would say half of those parents that are there in our adult program, they have teenagers that are in the class. And so they're already semi participating. Sometimes the parents will come without their kids, but they're already semi participating in it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more so with like the younger guys and then incorporating like the color belts because these guys are already, their parents are already doing it, but their kids are already black belts. So that's
Yes.
teenage. So how are we incorporating that with like our younger guys? Now we do a 3 and 4 year old program, our Tiny Tigers. And so that
But
was
let me
actually
interrupt you real quick. Let me interrupt you real quick. See if we, how many tiny tigers do you have? 3 and 4 year olds.
total. I'd probably say 40 or 50.
Three and
So
four year olds?
yeah, I mean, but that's our biggest group because we do our 3 and 4 year olds, our 5 to 7 year olds, our 8 to 12 year olds, and then our teen and adults. So we haven't broken down into specific age groups. Um,
Okay. Well,
and
all right.
so
So 3 and 4 year olds, I agree. You got to separate those guys. And if you've got
and
that
that's what we
many,
talk
if you got that many, I applaud you, but I feel bad for you all at the same time.
about. Yeah, I mean it's
But
the
at least you have enough to fill a room, it sounds like. Because if you've got 40 of them, you should have 20. Well, how many days a week are you offering that class?
6 days a week.
Oh, Lord. Why?
We offer every class 6 days a week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. I'm going to pretend you asked me how to compress your schedule.
Well,
Lord.
that could be a whole nother conversation because we're actually
Yeah.
looking to add 2 more upgrade programs this year. So
Good.
we're actually going to get
Well,
rid of one class per age group. So that would that would open up 4 more classes throughout the schedule.
well, let me really see if I can't knock you back a minute. How many people do you use dots on the floor?
Yes,
Perfect. How far apart are they?
just a hair under 6 feet.
Squish them down. 6 feet's wasted space. You can fit more people in the room. I guarantee. I'm 6'4". I got long legs. 5 feet's plenty.
Okay. Right
Okay.
now, we currently have 50 dots on the floor.
That's a healthy amount. Okay, well, that was my next question. So let's leave the dots where they are for now. But for all the rest of you guys, in fact, at one of our locations, it's only 1,800 square foot. So the workout floor is a little bit smaller. We still have 40 dots because what we realize is the first 3 rows. Let's see, we got 8 times 5 is 5 rows of 8 across. And so one, two, yeah, the first 3 rows are only 4 foot front to back, 5 foot side to side. So we keep symmetry. So instead of 5 feet in all directions, it's the front row, 4 feet back, 4 feet back, and then 5 feet back, 5 feet back, and all of them are 5 feet apart. That way we can get 40 dots because here's how you should look at your schedule. Okay. The schedule is there so you can fulfill the promise that was made. Too often we teach such a huge plethora of classes, we spend too much time focusing on the delivery of service versus doing better business. Now, again, you want to fulfill every promise you make. Don't get me wrong. That has to happen. But let's look at it through a different lens. You have 50 dots on the floor. That's fantastic. What's 80% of 50?
Is that 35, 40?
What is that? 80% would be 40. Yes. Okay. How many classes a week are you currently teaching that have less than 40 people in the class?
No, a good number of them. I would probably say 90% of them.
Okay. So why are we doing it?
Well, I guess the reason we're doing it that way is because we don't ask people to commit to a specific class time and or a certain specific amount of classes per week. So we're like you were talking about before, we offer classes 6 days a week. Our
Oh,
fee structure is the way it is. We're like that guy that was paying $200 a month and coming 5 days, 6 days a week. And he's
yeah.
looking, you know what I mean? So we have students that are that guy. And
Yeah. Well,
to account
okay.
for
So, and I believe you 100% because even back when we did that, we had out of 200 active back then, we probably had about 6 people that were coming 6 days a week. Most people can't pull that off, but there's always some, and they always stand out in your mind. You think you got a lot of them, but when you really go through your roster, I would guess. Well, what's your active count right now?
our one location, we're just I think 320 and then 260.
Okay, so you got a healthy amount of students. That's good. Congratulations. However, with 50 dots on the floor, that's beautiful because that means you don't have to teach so many classes to deliver the service and produce the students you want to produce, especially because I know you've got multiple staff members if you have that number of students. So it's not that I can't break them into groups. I just don't have to do it at different times of the day. So let me get a little more information. Right now, how many classes a week? Pick either location, makes no difference. If you got whatever school you have 50 dots on the floor, our philosophy is I'm not going to teach a class that I can't fill. So it's got to be at least 80% of capacity to be a viable class. If I can't fill the class, I need to compress the schedule. So let's look at right now. If you have the 50 dots, is that 260 or 320?
320.
Okay. So let's do this. If we've got, and you guys can all do this with your own numbers, if you have 320 students, now let me ask you, Master Freeman, how many days a week in an ideal scenario do you want your students to train each week? How many times a week?
We encourage twice a week.
Okay, beautiful. Love it. Music to my ears. So if I've got 320, now in our upgrades, they can come a third day for black belt. They can add on a fourth day for leadership. However, most families tend to stick to their regular schedule because it's what's convenient, especially as you get better at enrolling the entire family. 2 days a week is always going to be what's most convenient. But 320 times 2, that means I need to deliver 640 lessons a week, right? 320 people coming 2 times a week is 640 lessons I am obligated to deliver. Now, I can fit 50, but I want to have some room to grow. So 80% of that capacity would be 40 people. So let's take our 640, divide it by 40 people, and that tells me I need to offer 16 classes a week. How close are we to that number currently?
We're not close to that.
Okay. Okay.
We're not close to that.
How many classes a week are we currently offering?
We offer, there's probably, it depends on the day. I would say 5,
Per week. You said you open 6 days a week. How many classes a week?
about
36.
36 classes a week.
We have a surprise guest in the room. I didn't even know it. Hello, ma'am.
This is my,
Sorry, hi.
my program director here.
Perfect. Well, I hope I'm not making her mad. But you know what? This is typical. In fact, that Master Gregory I was talking about, I should have told him to be on this call. When he first started with us, he had 36 classes a week. Yeah. And now he's got 12. Or maybe he has 16. Do you remember, Roman? He's got 12 or 16. Anyway, makes no difference.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I will tell you, this is going to be actually a good, because our summer camp this year, we're going to be doing a longer summer camp and doing a condensed evening schedule.
Nice.
So we're only going to have 3 classes a night. So
Beautiful.
that's going to be, honestly, having this conversation is going to segue into that, which is going to
Nice.
springboard into September, which is our back to school when we open up again for regular. So we got to figure out exactly, there'll be a good trial run for that.
Well, here's what I want to encourage you to do. Because now we know for 320 and 40 people per class would be 16 classes. Now, I am a big fan of having a 3-day weekend. I think it's important for my staff's longevity. I think it's good for my own personal satisfaction. My wife loves it. We teach class Monday through Thursday. That's it. Monday through Thursday. And with 16 classes a week, that'd be 4 classes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, in full transparency, there is one Friday a month where we teach 2 classes. We have a leadership training class once a month, and we have an apprentice training class once a month. So one Friday a month we do class, but it's not part of our regular schedule. And occasionally we do stuff on Saturdays, but it's pretty rare. But yeah, 320 people, Monday through Thursday deal. No problem at all. Now you might have to do 18 classes just because that dragon program could mess it up a little bit, which is another reason why we got rid of the dragons. But we've got a client in the UK. He had, I think, 60 dragons. And when he came on board and started talking about this, he's like, yeah, I talked to my boys, him, his wife, and his 2 sons that are grown men, all run the academy. Probably one of the most successful academies in the whole United Kingdom. His name's David Bonthoys. He goes, yeah, no more dragons for us. None of us want to teach it. We all pushed off on someone else. And when we did the math on the revenue it generates versus our family program, it just doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't make. Now, what we did to eliminate dragons, and you may not want to do that, and that's fine, but maybe there's somebody else on this call hearing this that does. To go back to the story of how we became family, I did have a separate teen and adult class at 7 o'clock that was predominantly adults because it was at 7:15 every night. And as we open up the other classes to families, I say, hey, you come to whatever, instead of trying to bottleneck everyone into certain classes, especially if they have a young one, an older one, and an adult, they can't come 3 times a day. So we said, you know what? Come to the class time that makes the most sense because we can always break the class up into groups for a portion of the class to work on specific stuff. And so my adult class, it was about 40 people deep on average, started to shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink. And I started to panic a little bit, like, oh man, where is everybody? Why was nobody coming to class? Well, it turns out they were. They were just coming at 5 and 6. Why? Because it was more convenient. They got to go home and get dinner done and get the homework done. And it made more sense for that family. So my class of 40 over about 6 months dwindled down to a class of about 12 because that fourth of the class didn't have kids in the program, like you mentioned. But now I had so many adults in the other classes, it didn't matter. I said, you know what, guys? There's no reason to do this class like this. Everyone all your friends are in the earlier classes. So here's what we're going to do. Starting next week, you guys all come to the 6 o'clock class. You'll be done with your training an hour earlier and it's going to be fun. See you then. So guess what? Now we had all the adults in the family class and they still had fun because we didn't line them up by rank, we lined them up by height. So all of us on this call would be facing each other for a partner, not some little kid. That's not going to be fun. And so it's almost like there's 2 classes training together, but it's almost like, we got a big giant group of kids, big giant group of adults, everyone faces each other, everyone has a blast. And in terms of the delivery of the curriculum, heck, 90% of the class, everyone is doing the same thing, the same way, the same time, under the leadership of one instructor. But then there's that 10% of class where we might break them into a couple groups or squads and do something specific. But they all have to warm up. They all need to work on conditioning. They all need to work on flexibility. They all need to review basics. So really, if you look at the portion of class that might need to be rank specific, it's quite small. And if you have anyone at all that can help you, well, have them help you. All right, for this next portion, we're going to break into a couple groups and then bring them all back together again. It's fantastic. It's so easy. Once you do it, it just makes sense. And in fact, I don't know anybody that we've ever worked with over the last 10 years now that would ever go back. They'll all tell you the same thing. Oh, I'd never go back. Never, never. It just simplifies your life. See, this deal that we're in, it was supposed to be easy, lucrative, and fun. And for most of us, we've done everything we could to complicate it and make ourselves miserable and be broke. Let's fix that. Let's go more old school. Let's simplify. Let's take away all the clutter. Let's get rid of all the nonsense and let's make it about just developing physically and mentally developing stronger people, better people, martial artists. So yeah, if I were to walk into your academy, I'd take a couple weeks to get to know everybody, and then I would compress that schedule down to probably 16 classes. I would take Fridays and Saturdays off, except for once a month, and I would have a more, for me at least, a more enjoyable lifestyle.
I appreciate your time breaking all that down for me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's a lot of questions in here and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's look at the chat. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. Ricky Kruger, family stay longer. You bet. If any of you guys have any questions, I'm going to read Roman's comment on here. Thank you for posting that. Type your comments out, type your questions out. Facebook, all right, show of hands. How many school owners are doing Facebook ads? Only 2 of us? Yikes. All right, y'all need to fix that. 3? Okay, good. All right, you need to fix that. And here's the good news. We have a Facebook ads course in our school program that you guys have access to for free, and it just works. Okay, it just works. Now, how many leads you get depends on how many dollars you commit, but here's the good news. What you have to count is not how much money am I spending, but what is my ROI? I was on the call this morning with one of our clients in Arkansas, and they've been open 2 days so far. And check this out. In the 2 days of this year, this month, they've generated 4 leads because they have a really low Facebook ad. They're doing only $10 a day. So they've spent $50 on Facebook. They've gotten 4 leads. They've set 3 appointments. They've sold 3 trials. They've had 2 of those 3 show up so far. And from those 2 that showed up, they sold 1 single and 1 family membership. So that's equal to 3. And they've collected just over $935, which is about $300 per. So they've spent $50 so far on Facebook this year, and they've collected just shy of 1,000. Now, raise your hand if you'd like to have that kind of return on investment in anything, right? So you got to be. Now, I know people will try to get your money to do Google ads, and they'll try to get your money to do radio ads and cash register receipts and shopping carts. And there's a million things out there they will sell you, and they make it sound so good. Yelp is always trying to get our money. And we've tried it all more than twice. And the only place you need to spend any money at all in terms of marketing outside of your 4 walls would be Facebook. And of course, link that to your Instagram. So Meta is the only place, in my opinion, that is worthwhile spending money for online marketing right now. Now, some of you guys may have a different experience, but I know there's some people that now we get leads from our website, we get leads from Google, but spending additional monies on those has not proven to be the best return on our investment. Facebook, however, at a minimum, every dollar we put in, we get 4 back. And I just like that. I wish I could get that kind of investment everywhere. I mean, it's phenomenal. So if you're not using them, if you're not using Meta to market your school, go through the Facebook marketing course that we provide for free, do it, and watch what happens. All right. Number next. Now, I will also say on that though, you do have to work your leads. In fact, at our training we did here locally on Saturday, Master Matsumoto, he goes, the thing I've noticed, and we've talked about it so many times, but it was one of those things where when the student is ready, the instructor appears. He goes, what I've really noticed? I said, what's that, sir? He goes, every time I call my lead, the moment it comes in, they buy. I was like, okay. And he goes, well, I just mean if I wait to get back to him later, it's kind of a crapshoot. He goes, but I'm like over 90% conversion to paid trial if I call them the moment they come in. He goes, in fact, I'm surprised if they don't buy a trial. I was like, well, there you go. Versus waiting 20 minutes, the percentage drops, waiting hours, the percentage drops, waiting days, forget about it. They've expired. So there we go. Number next, what about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools? How to apply those plans? Because the space occupied by each student is much more than, it's a great question, Ricardo. 6x6, Michael Smith, 6x6 on your mats, how we calculate the number of students. Perfect. So you might not be able to fit quite as many in the room. So you might be required to teach a few more classes than someone else, but that's okay. Some schools have very small training floors, but we're going to fill it. So I might have to do more classes more quickly simply because the mat fills up, but I'm still always going to run it by the numbers. There's one lady that had a school out in Vegas we visited. I had mat envy. This woman had 96 dots on the floor. Her training floor was huge. I thought, oh my gosh, that'd be fantastic. You could have 200 students and teach 4 classes a week. A week. That would be fantastic. Now I'd have to have more than one instructor, but that's okay. Everyone wants to teach. Could you imagine? That's like 80%. 80 students would be a full class. So 80 of it, you could have 160 students and teach 1 class a night. That's fantastic. 320 students, 4 classes a week. I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. All right. Although I didn't want to pay her rent. Let's see. They only get access when they book an onboarding. Okay. Okay. So Roman posted in here. So if you have not booked an onboarding call to talk to myself or Master Mertens, booking that onboarding call, we do a 15-minute call with you to kind of go through your situation. See if you're interested in doing something together or not. But just by booking that call, you get access to the Facebook marketing engine. I highly recommend you do it. If you haven't done it yet, you're missing out. Do we get a copy of this meeting? This meeting, yes, it's going to be uploaded to this to the school group a little bit later today. Thank you. And one-on-one intro for BJJ. Yes. In fact, we have a BJJ school down in Lubbock, Texas that is killing it. Also one in Reno, Nevada that we've helped for a good while. And you do the same thing. I want to see the whole idea of doing the one-on-one intro is to control the experience. If I put you in a class, I put them at risk. So by scheduling a tour and orientation, we have you fill out what we call a PA, a personal analysis, where we look at what it is you would like to see your child improve. We talk about what that would look like once they do improve. So I get you focused on a future goal. And then we do a tour to show you around the academy and build value. And then we do the one-on-one intro with the kid and the parent so they can see, so that we can make them a student too. Now, they don't always enroll, but if you're involved in my program, I don't want you to sit on the sidelines and judge. See, when you sit on the sidelines, they're judging you. And even worse, they're judging their kid. And if you put him in a class, it's 10 times worse because you know that kid's not going to be able to, he's brand new. He knows nothing. So of course he's going to mess up. And most of the time when kids get involved in martial arts, they've already done a couple other sports and haven't been that good at it. And now you put them in a class and cross your fingers and hope they do okay. And I know you're very encouraging, but what the mom sees is, oh yeah, look, he used the wrong foot. He's supposed to roll that way. Gosh, he's not going to be any good at this either, I bet. Which makes it harder to put them on a membership. However, if I do a one-on-one orientation with you, now I can control what you do and how you do it. I can make corrections. And most importantly of all, I can connect with that parent about how we're helping their child. You know, if they want more confidence, what can we show them that demonstrates confidence? Well, I know in our intro, we get them to answer up loud, we get them to snap to attention, stand up straight. I can look mom right in the eye because she's right in front of me. I say, look at that, mom. That's the first step on how we start to develop that confidence you were looking for. Do you see it? Oh, yes, sir. Right. What is she? You know, I'm drafting her into how this is going to change her child into the kid she wants. Because the big part of the PA is we identify the kid they have and we help them identify the kid they want because it's not the same. Everyone loves the child they have, but it's not the kid they want. Now, it doesn't mean they don't want their kid. It means they want more for their kid. Every parent on the planet wants more for their kid. So we got to uncover where areas need improvement, widen that gap, and then show them how we are here to help. And then we're going to prove it during this little 8 to 10 minute lesson. And it should be that small. I'm not out here to teach you martial arts. I'm out here to, it's kind of like when you go to the ice cream store and they give you a sample, that little pink spoon. Why do they give you the sample? So you want more. It's like, ooh, that was good. Give me more. The orientation lesson, our intro lesson lasts 8, maybe 10 minutes because what I need to do is demonstrate my ability to change your child's behavior in an instant. And it's going to be directed towards what you already told me you were looking for, what you told me you need to see to make a buying decision. Yeah. Okay. So BJJ, same, different orientation, different lesson, but I want to do it one-on-one so I can control every aspect of the experience to make sure they see what I want them to see. And I'm going to have the parent doing it too, because if they're sitting on the sidelines, they're judging and they're probably not seeing what you want. They're seeing what they're afraid of. Don't do it. Okay. Let's see. Yes, do it again. Facebook Market was okay. Yes. Okay, once you book into onboarding, it gets unlocked free of charge. Great. All right, Kyle Ritter. Okay. Just unlock Wing Chunk. Okay, what else we have here? Oscar, so I have a better understanding of your enrollment system. 2-week trial, which you enroll them on, 1-year membership right away, applying the value. Then how long do you wait to upgrade? And is that only a 3-year? Oh, good question. All right, so the introductory program you do. We do 2 weeks for $20. It's easy. It's a low cost of entry. It's an easy sell. Getting the first sale out of the way makes it easier to do the next. And that's the one that matters more because now we put them on a 12-month basic training program. In my mind, and hopefully in yours, that's still not a membership that matters because none of us are going to take someone to black belt in 12 months. So really, it's just a bigger introductory program. It's an extension. And what my goal is to get you on a 3-year membership so you have a shot at one day becoming a black belt. Now, I know in jiu-jitsu, maybe that's going to be a blue belt. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I've got to get you on a program that's going to have a lasting result that creates a change in this person that hopefully they'll remember for the rest of their lives, and 12 months ain't going to cut it. So beginning with that end in mind, we market whatever gets them to come in the door, gets them in the top of the funnel. I don't care if you do a day free, a week free, a paid trial. I do care, but regardless of what trial you're doing, once they come in through your door, that's gone. Poof. Whatever you did to get them to come in the door, once they've come in the door, that has been spent. It's over. So now my job is to give you a bigger reason to come back. So yeah, we're gonna take you through this tour and orientation. I already told you if it makes sense, we'll help you save money. So I'm gonna follow through on what I promised. And we're gonna take you through our tour and orientation. If I do a good job on it, heck, 7 out of 10 are gonna enroll and pay real money. So now, after we do the end of your lesson, I'm gonna let you know, hey, congratulations. We use this 2-week trial to qualify students for our basic training program. And here's the good news. After many years of teaching martial arts, I can tell when a student's ready. We don't need to wait the 2 weeks. So here's what we'll do. We're going to give you the full value of that 2-week trial program for our membership. It saves you $125. I'm so confident that this is the right decision for your family. I'll match that. So we're going to save you $250 by just enrolling today. How's that sound? Like, ooh, that sounds pretty good. Perfect. Let's go explain the membership. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discount that $250 against our regular initial investment. And then I'm going to get the rest of it plus the first and last installment. And to get started, for example, there's a number of ways we do this, but for you guys on this call, the basic way is, normally our tuition's $250 a month. We do first and last to get started with 10 additional payments. Let's get started. Oh, I can't do that. Well, then let's just do the first installment. No big deal. I mean, we'll fall back in an instant. Well, I can't do that either. Then you can't enroll. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Oscar? I see Oscar.
Mr.
I'm assuming
Hey.
you're not Oscar.
Why is coming up, Oscar? I'm Miss Harvey. Hey, so quick question. Going through the scripts, it looked like there was three levels of like what you're trying to collect. Do you always go for the double payment first? Because I know you didn't touch on that just now, but in the script it does.
Yeah, in our member coaching call, we have more advanced tactics
Okay.
because most of the people on this call are not part of our program.
Okay.
However, yeah, absolutely. The answer is
Okay.
yes.
You always go 1, 2, 3.
Always. And
Okay.
and don't hesitate to fall back. I want to make it, my goal is to get you what you want. You said you want these benefits. I just demonstrated how we're going to do it. So let's get started. Now my job becomes to help you get enrolled. So yeah, I'm going to ask for us, I'm going to ask for and for the tuition. Heck, we just break it into 6 installments of $498. And then the second half of your membership, there's no tuition due. Let's get started.
Right. Okay.
Well, let's break it. And then well, then in that case, let's just break into 12 payments. We'll do first and last to get started. Well, I can't do that either. That's still a lot of money. Well, then we'll just do the first. I don't want to ever let the money get in the way of what matters most, and that's helping families like yours. So let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then thank you for that. And then the other question, I guess, was at what point then, how long do you wait to try to then actually enroll them on the 3-year?
Less than 30 days. Usually it happens before their next payment comes out.
Okay.
So in our training portal, you'll see we have what's called the 5 memorable moments. And on class 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we have specific actions we take and texts and emails that go out so that after they complete those first 5 classes, they are ready. They are primed and ready to be, heck, basic training. And we also tell them when they enroll. If you look at the end of the enrollment dialogue, it tells them, hey, we are a black belt academy, and our goal is for everyone to one day reach the prestigious rank of black belt. But it takes many years and hours of training, and the truth is you're not ready for that yet. However, so today we're going to do basic. However, if after a couple of weeks of coming to class, we see what we need to see to invite you to be a part of that program, well, then we'll have that conversation then. So we reframe them before they enroll. And then we congratulate them after they enroll and let them know that, hey, I'm going to be, like I promised, I'll be keeping a close eye on Timmy. And in a couple of weeks, we'll probably be talking about setting our sights on black belt.
Okay. And where do I find that 5 memorable moments? Where can I find that in the material?
I don't know offhand. However, between Roman and I'll find it for you after we finish.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Ricky Kruger, hopefully you got scheduled. Justin, I know intro was a high block punch kick, but for BJJ, I'm lost on the content of the intro. I could reapply the script. For the intro in jujitsu, our goal in our taekwondo intro is not so much to teach them a technique, but use a couple of techniques to demonstrate my ability to modify and control your child's behavior, and use it to get your kid to answer up loud, maybe key up loud, maybe snap back to attention quickly. So I can talk about how that is really a demonstration of what it is they told me they were looking for, whether it be focus or confidence. So in jujitsu, I would do a basic move that you could show a kid and a parent as an effective technique in jujitsu, something super simple you can show anybody in less than 5 minutes, and teach, have them go through it a couple times, show them how this would apply towards, their jujitsu skills, and then talk about how knowing these skills gives you the confidence to know that you could defend yourself in case of emergency, which is how we're going to build their confidence. And of course, learning these skills in a group environment is how we build their focusing to get them better to control their mind, to use their body, which easily applies directly across to making learning easier in school, being able to pay attention to the instructor no matter what's going on around you. I mean, it's the same skills. It's different physically, but mentally and emotionally, it's the same. So I just want to give them something. I want to teach them a move or two, and then correlate that to what they said they were looking for in terms of their child's personal growth and development. Kickboxing school, where you punch heavy bags. We've done kickboxing programs in the past, and we would very often put 4 people on a bag, and that way we maximize our space. If you put 2 on a bag, it's real easy. They can both do right leg round kicks at the same time. 4 people on a bag, you have to go bam, 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 but you just make it work. It's not that big of a deal. In terms of Muay Thai pads, you got partner drills, kick shields with kids, using focus men. Now, some of this stuff I would probably just tone down for my entry level membership. For example, we've got a guy who's hardcore Hapkido, and he was starting off with break falls. Now, if any of you guys have ever done that, as think about a brand new parent that hasn't worked out in probably 20 years, and you're going to have them do a couple dozen break falls. They're not going to be able to stand up tomorrow. So we said, well, why don't you just tone that down a bit and maybe save the break falls for after they enroll, and maybe even a little further along in your curriculum. Like maybe that's part of your upgrade. Since we do want to upgrade them in the first 30 days, let's not be too intense too quickly. Give them white belt material, get them excited about the idea, and help them commit to the long-term journey, and then introduce the more advanced curriculum and techniques as you go. So like our black belts today learn everything they've always learned. However, we don't try to crush them at white belt and yellow belt anymore. I mean, if you think about the way most people do the structure of a rank advancement, the structure of it, most of us have used for a white belt and a red belt. It's the same, different techniques, but same structure. Why? Well, because that's what our instructor did. But is that the best way to build an academy? Probably not. It becomes survival of the fittest versus helping more people get where you want them to go. Okay. And the truth is, all of them will get better. My belief is if I can get you to commit to the next 300 lessons, you're going to be a different person, physically and mentally. So let's get that. If you don't use a belt system, do you have an alternative approach? Yes. Now, I'm not sure who's asking this question. However, yeah, there's several. So I'm not sure what system you use, so I can't really recommend what to do there. But we can certainly talk about that on our next call. But absolutely, the reason why fitness programs, especially inside of martial arts schools, the reason why most fitness programs don't make it and the turnover is so high is because they're not shooting for a goal. They have, what are they going to do? They have to earn something. They have to feel a sense of accomplishment. And if you're making it only about getting in better shape, well, there's a low ceiling for that. Just like if you're making it only about losing weight, well, when do they quit? When the scale stops moving. But if I can make it about being a part of a community and of like-minded people where it's healthy and it's fun, and I am getting in better shape, but I'm not tying it to whether or not the scale's still moving or not. Because I mean, let's face it, it's not going to keep moving forever. You're not going to disappear. At some point, you're going to equal out. But if I can make it about a sense of accomplishment through participation, a sense of accomplishment through camaraderie and connection, well, then they stay. They stay longer. Heck, some of them stay forever. So on that note, we're going to bring this to an end. Anyone that wants to reach out, please do so. Roman just posted the link again in here for warriorsuccesssystem.com/onboarding. Feel free to schedule a call. Love to talk to you in person, one-on-one. I know a couple of you guys already have done so. Congratulations. And everybody learns the same material. How you practice it to be different, like maybe glove to glove. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And yes. Absolutely. TKA. Congratulations. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. And some of you, I'll see you later this week. Have a great day. Happy New Year.